Frieza senses the ki of Goku and Gohan in the new saga, Black Frieza. Yes, that's right, the new saga is explosive. The evil emperor finally initiated his plan and was impressed with the power of Goku and Gohan. And in today's video, I will show you everything. So without further ado, let's go. Frieza has always been one of the most astute and strategic villains in Dragon Ball, and his return to relevance in the new era of the work shows just that. For years, Goku and Vegeta were considered the strongest warriors in the universe, constantly surpassing their limits in intense battles against increasingly powerful enemies. The curious thing is that, in a way, Frieza knew how to take advantage of this. He understood that to reach a level beyond everyone, he needed to observe, learn, and mainly use the two Saiyans as indirect tools for his own growth, instead of entering into direct confrontation with them all the time, as he did in the past. Frieza changed his mindset. He began to observe Goku's and Vegeta's advancements as if they were steps that showed him how far it was possible to go. When Goku achieved Super Saiyan Blue and Vegeta awakened their own divine forms, Frieza realized that the path to absolute power was no longer just tyranny and destruction, but controlled and conscious evolution. In the Dragon Ball Super Resurrection F saga, we saw Frieza train for the first time in his life. This was already a result of him seeing how far Goku had come. He understood that if he didn't change, he would be irrelevant. This first step led to the emergence of Golden Frieza, a form equivalent to the Saiyan's divine power. However, even with this transformation, Frieza was still inferior in control and endurance as he did not have enough experience. It was after the Tournament of Power that Frieza's true plan began to take shape. He saw Goku achieve Ultra Instinct, something beyond even the god's imagination. Vegeta, on the other hand, was not left behind and awakened Ultra Ego, a different power, but equally frightening. Frieza did not need to master these techniques immediately. The simple fact of witnessing such feats showed him that the limit was much further than he thought. It is interesting to realize that Goku and Vegeta, in essence, served as guinea pigs for Frieza. While they spent time fighting Jiren, Broly, Moro, and Granola, exposing themselves to the limit and risking their lives, Frieza followed a different path, that of silent preparation. He studied the energy, the divine concepts, and calculated how to surpass the two in one go. This point became clear when Frieza reappeared with the Black Frieza form. During 10 years in a hyperbolic time chamber, room of spirit and time, he trained in a space where every second counted as an eternity. This insane training would not have been motivated if he had not witnessed Goku's and Vegeta's evolutions. Their pride in always surpassing the enemy, deep down, fueled Frieza's determination to do the same. Thinking that Goku and Vegeta, who sacrificed and strived so much, ended up functioning as didactic obstacles for Frieza is almost ironic. They inspired him without realizing it, but unlike what normally happens, in which the hero inspires the villain to redeem himself, here the villain merely became even more formidable. Frieza himself makes it clear that he saw Goku and Vegeta as stepping stones. He waited for the right moment, accumulated energy, patience, and discipline. Unlike the uncontrolled arrogance he showed on Namek, now he has an even more dangerous strategic coldness. He doesn't just want to defeat the Saiyans, he wants to crush their hope, showing that all their effort was useless in the face of his new supremacy. The result was shocking. When he confronted Goku and Vegeta after his return, Frieza showed that in his new form he could defeat both with an absurd ease. It wasn't just a demonstration of physical power, but a clear message. You were my indirect training, and now you can do nothing against me. This development is insane precisely because it reverses the series' logic. For years, Goku and Vegeta overcame enemies by being the most determined, the ones who never gave up. But Frieza reversed that role. He let the two run ahead, explore the limits of the universe, and then take a single leap and surpass them brutally. Frieza has always been seen as the villain who represented the Saiyans' absolute hatred, but now he represents something greater, the dark reflection of their effort. While Goku and Vegeta grow by seeking to protect others, Frieza grows by wanting to destroy and dominate. This contrast makes his evolution even more threatening. In the end, thinking that Frieza used the two heroes as obstacles is frightening, but it makes perfect sense. He never needed masters, he never needed a divine path, he just needed to wait for Goku and Vegeta to show how far power could go and then chart his own black path toward absolute supremacy. And the Black Frieza form is the living proof of this. Dragon Ball's greatest villain not only survived time, but managed to surpass the warriors who previously defeated him, using precisely their ambition as fuel for his ascent. When Frieza emerged with the Black Frieza form, he believed he was on an unreachable level. His confidence came from years of silent preparation, from a brutal training that made him much more than an evil emperor, a being who could now rival gods of destruction. However, what Frieza may not have considered is that Goku and Vegeta are not common warriors. They have always found ways to break barriers, even when logic seemed to say there was no way out. And that cycle was far from over. Frieza without a doubt was aware of the Saiyans' growth. He himself had witnessed Goku's Ultra Instinct and Vegeta's Ultra Ego. But what he did not expect was the speed with which both would continue to evolve. The fight against enemies like Moro and Granola not only forced them to better tame their divine techniques, but also to understand that they could no longer rely only on isolated transformations. They needed to achieve a state of fusion between instinct, power, and essence. Furthermore, there is another factor that Frieza certainly sensed: Broly's explosive ki. The legendary Saiyan is a key piece that Frieza cannot control. Broly represents a chaotic power still raw, but with a monstrous potential that goes far beyond predictions. When Goku took Broly to train on Beerus' planet, the entire universe seemed to tremble. It is evident that Frieza, with his keen perception, captured this increase in energy and understood that there was one more obstacle growing outside his reach. And it doesn't stop there. Gohan, after awakening the beast form, also became an outlier. This power is not divine, it is not instinctive, it is something purely human Saiyan, a unique essence that places him in a category apart. For Frieza, realizing that there is now one more warrior in Goku and Vegeta's close circle must have been alarming. He, who believed he was far above everyone, suddenly sees that four warriors, Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and Gohan, have different paths that can converge to surpass him. Frieza has always relied on his strategic intelligence, but in this case, his arrogance may have blinded him. At the same time he trained in isolation, Goku and Vegeta trained under Whis' guidance, exploring concepts of divinity that Frieza never accepted. They not only strengthened themselves in brute power, but also in harmony with the flow of the universe. This detail may be what makes the difference in a future confrontation. The curious thing is that Frieza probably sensed these powerful kiss when the Saiyans were gathered on Beerus' planet. Imagine the impact. Four colossal presences, each distinct but all radiating universal destruction potential. Goku with his Ultra Instinct evolution, Vegeta with the more refined Ultra Ego, Broly with his savage energy, and Gohan with his bestial instinct. For Frieza, this perception could not have been comfortable. He, who always placed himself as the supreme predator, begins to realize that the number of hunters is increasing, and each of them has different motivations. Goku seeks the next level, Vegeta seeks to surpass his own limits, Broly fights to control his fury, and Gohan protects what he loves. Together, even if they are not perfect allies, they represent a wall of power that Frieza cannot ignore. This is where the paradox comes in. Frieza used Goku and Vegeta as obstacles to strengthen himself. But at the same time, his growth forces them to seek even more absurd levels. Every time Frieza shows himself to be more dangerous, Goku and Vegeta face it as an inevitable challenge. Saiyan pride would never allow them to accept the final defeat. Another relevant issue is that, on Beerus' planet, the training environment is completely different from any other. There, under Whis' supervision and with the energy of a god of destruction present, a warrior's advancement is multiplied. While Frieza trained in isolation, the Saiyans were immersed in a divine ecosystem, something that cannot be replicated by just physical effort. This means that even if Frieza achieved temporary supremacy, it is far from guaranteed. Frieza's survival instinct must be screaming. He knows he cannot underestimate Goku and Vegeta again. The fact that he sensed the keys gathered on Beerus' planet is like a portent. The next time he faces the Saiyans, it will not be just against two warriors, but against an entire group with diversified powers and in full ascent. For Goku and Vegeta, this situation is almost perfect. They not only have the opportunity to train side by side with Broly and Gohan, but also know that Frieza's existence is the fuel that forces them to never stop. Every transformation, every technique, every refinement is a step toward facing the evil Emperor one more time. In the end, the great irony is that Frieza, by seeking to surpass Goku and Vegeta, ended up creating the conditions for the Saiyans and their allies to become even stronger. He may have achieved the momentary peak with Black Frieza, but he did not count on the explosive union of four distinct forces. And in Dragon Ball, we know well, when Goku and Vegeta have allies of the same level, the entire universe trembles. Thus, even if Frieza surprised the world with his new form, fate seems sealed. The Saiyan warrior's evolution never stops, and this time, he may have put himself in a crossroads from which not even his sharp intellect will be able to escape. The Black Frieza saga promises to be one of the most insane ever seen in Dragon Ball. The villain is not just stronger than ever, but also colder and more calculating, which makes him unpredictable. Unlike past threats, which relied only on brute force or killer instinct, Frieza now gathers all these elements with discipline and strategic intelligence. This means that every move he makes will be a true nightmare for Goku, Vegeta, and the other warriors. The great differential of this saga will be precisely the clash of colossal forces. On one side, we have Frieza in his most lethal form, the result of years of training focused only on destruction. On the other, a group of warriors who represent the climax of Saiyan potential. Goku with Ultra Instinct evolution, Vegeta with Ultra Ego, Broly with his legendary power, and Gohan with his beast form. Every battle will have emotional, strategic, and narrative weight, showing that it will not just be a matter of who is stronger, but who will manage to surpass their limits in the decisive moment. Another point that makes this saga epic is the fact that Frieza now faces not just rivals, but symbols. Goku represents the warrior's freedom, Vegeta the race's pride, Broly the uncontrollable fury, and Gohan the protective instinct. Facing all of them will be like challenging the very essence of the Saiyan universe. And this is exactly what Frieza wants, to prove that, even against everyone, he can still be the supreme ruler of the cosmos. Therefore, when the Black Frieza saga really unfolds, the result will be something that will mark Dragon Ball's history. It will be the culmination of years of rivalry, evolution, and self-improvement. A confrontation where every blow will have the weight of eras, and where the destiny of the universe will be at stake. If there is one thing we can be sure of, it is that this will be the most intense, brutal, and emotional saga we have ever seen. When the battle against Black Frieza finally explodes, every second will be unpredictable. Devastating attacks, unimaginable strategies, and moments of pure self-improvement will intertwine, showing that this saga will not just be about power, but about endurance, intelligence, and union. And that, despite all of Frieza's preparation, the combined force of Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and Gohan can turn the impossible into reality. But comment on what you thought of all this, and don't forget to like. Thank you very much for everyone's support, and until next time,